Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. So the main chapter we're discussing is najasat. Those things that are najis, and relevant to that was also water that has been used to purify yourself. And this we call in Sharia terms water that's been used, it hasn't been contaminated with any type of najasat. Because remember, that's a separate masla. The moment najasat, physical najasat, blood, urine, feces, sperm, alcohol, pus, when that falls into the water, that's just a separate discussion, right? Then if it's maya qalil, it is considered to be najis, right? If it's maya kathir, then color, smell, or taste must change. Then it's considered to be najis. So that we're not speaking about that. That's a separate discussion. We covered most of that already, and we're going to cover a bit more there. Here we're speaking about my musta'mal, means that water where no physical, or rather maybe a better way of putting it is like this: that water which has not been used to remove najasat hakiki, that water which is not been used to remove physical najasat, but rather that water which has been used to remove an abstract najasat. It's an in Shari terms we call this that water that's been used to remove hadath akbar and hadath asghar. Right? Are you with me on that? So I repeat that our discussion is about ma'a musta'mal, that water which has not been contaminated with physical. Yes, this whole discussion will not be relevant if the water has been contaminated with physical najasat. If you needed a faraz ghusl and you still have some najasat on your body, maybe post relationship, whatever, or you had a nocturnal emission and you got najasat on your body, then that water, there's no question that that water is najis. If it's maya qalil, it's completely najis. If it's maya kathir, then if it's color, taste, or smell changes, then you can't use it, right? So there is no question about that. Here we're speaking about where the water was not physically contaminated, there was no physical najasat. The water has only been used to remove an abstract type of najasat, which we term as najasat hukmiya, or in other simple words, we say it has been used to remove either hadath azhar and hadath akbar, right? So thus far, we discussed here, there was quite a lengthy text والماء المستعمل لا يطهر الأحداث, etc. The crux of that whole text, the preferred opinion, which and the fatwa is on one, is tahir غير mutahir, right? We done through that whole thing. I hope that's clear. I hope everybody understand the text. But the preferred opinion is tahir غير mutahir. Tahir means that it will not contaminate anything. If it falls on my clothes, it falls on my place of salah, it feels on my body, it will not render it najis. But I cannot use it to make another wudu. I cannot use it to make it another ghusl, right? Although I can use it also to remove najasat hakikiya. If I captured some mice musta'mal in the bucket or whatever, then that water, if I can use it to, if I got some physical najasat on my clothes, I can use it to remove the physical najasat, right? So that was the essence of the last discussion. That was the essence of the last discussion. Now we're going to move to the next discussion. When what is we mentioned this year thus far that when we mentioned that's much thus far that my musta'mal is that water which is used to remove hadath akbar or asghar, right? That way. But now we're gonna have a bit more detail. We're gonna build upon that discussion. One or more details when we said when you use it to remove hadath asghar and we use it to remove hadath akbar. So inshallah, that's the discussion we're going to cover today. So there's more detail on that. So Bismillah, tafaddali. Yeah. Okay, see, first one, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. What is my musta'mal exactly? This much you know so far. I told you it's water that doesn't have najasat in it, right? That you know, right? The second part is this here. This much you know already. It's been used to remove either hadath akbar or hadath asghar, right? That much you know. Now we're gonna build upon that. We're gonna give more detail upon that. والماء المستعمل ماء أزيل بحدث, right? أو استعمل في البدن على وجه القربة. The first one, see, it is a water ما أزيل به حدث. Hadath has been removed with it. So let's just look at that for the timing. Hadas has been removed, but you did not have wudu. You did not have ghusl. And you took water and you didn't have, you are muhaddith. You made wudu with it, right? Or you made ghusl with it, right? So, so that water has been used to remove a najasat hukmiyah. So the moment that is done, considered to be my musta'mal. That's the first thing, right? And so that's pretty clear. The second one, أو استعمل في البدن على وجه القربة. It has been used on the body على وجه القربة in a manner of gaining reward. So it is possible sometimes that you can use the water in a manner of reward, but you did not remove the jasad. How would that be? How would that be? Tell me, Lukman. You use the water for the sake of ibadat, but you're not removing hadath with it. How is that possible? Tell me. Right. That's called al-wudu'u al-wudu'i. Al-wudu'u al-wudu'i. For example, you read Zohar namaz, right? Finish. And Asr time came, you still had wudu. You said, oh, okay, let me make a fresh wudu. Like, I would do, maybe in between from Zohar to Asr, I saw something wrong. I looked at something which I was not supposed to look at. My eyes are spiritually contaminated. I'm gonna make a fresh wudu here, right? So I can be nice and spiritually clean, right? So that was you. So that means you did not use it to remove a hadath. You did not move it to remove a hadath, but you're using it. You're doing it as an ibadat. Are you with me? That's what he's saying. أو استعمل في البدن. It has been used in the body على وجه العبادة for the sake of ibadat, right? Now read the next part. Okay, just one point I want to discuss with you. Normally, I'm supposed to be taking of the previous lesson, but I take it that you're going over the lesson, inshallah, and you're understanding it also. If something's not clear, you obviously come the next day back and say, this is not clear. The proper way is I supposed to be testing you. But inshallah, you are going over it, and you're understanding it, inshallah. Okay, mashallah. So, قال هذا in the Abi Yusuf. This opinion here that we said that it's used to remove a hadath and also it's used as an ibadat, then it becomes ma'i musta'mal. This is the opinion of Imam Abi Yusuf rahimahullah ta'ala, second in command in the Hanafi madhab. Waqila, I tell you qila, normally we get qila, yuqalu, indicates to a weaker, but you'll do this in detail. Inshallah, if you do the mufti course, if you stay with us here and you do it, you're starting to do it now, you do all these details. This is called the different sighas, sahih, asah, qila, yuqalu, all this stuff. What are the implications? What exactly do these words mean? When there are differing words, which is stronger, which is weaker, etc. So in Arabic, you call qila sigha tamriz because it's a weaker. Like one is I said, he said so. That's clear. Luqman says, it has been said that this and that. So that is more like you're not sure, When you say, oh, it's been said, oh, I heard somewhere that the people are saying something, this has been said, that has been said. So that shows you it's a weaker one. So the moment you get in Arabic, we call it sigha tamriz. Tamriz means sick. So it's a weaker form of expression, a sick form of expressing something which shows it's not so strong, right? وقيل هو قول أبي حنيفة أيضا. It is said that this is also the opinion of Hazrat Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala, that when it is used to remove a hadath or is used ala wajh ibadah. Read the next one. Yeah. وقال محمد رحمه الله لا يصير مستعملا إلا بإقامة القربة. It will not be considered as used water except when it is done as an ibadat. Now, interesting here. He said, look here, even if it remove hadath, listen nicely. Look, listen nicely now. The previous call is if it is being used to remove hadath, it will become my musta'amal. And if it is used as an ibadat, it will become my musta'amal. But Hazrat Imam Muhammad says, no, only when it is done as an ibadat. So what is he excluding by this? I'll tell you. Remember, in the Hanafi madhab, we done this in detail. If for your wudu to be done, you don't have to have niyat. Because we say, look here, water quality is to purify. So if you made wudu even without intention, your wudu will be done, but you won't get the reward. We discussed this, Misla. If somebody came and they threw you into the pool, or maybe you had to walk from here to the boarding and your body got wet, and those limbs that need to be washed wudu, they got wet. So we'll say that your wudu is done, but you got no ibadat because you got no reward because you made no intention. Are you with me? Remember? And this was a famous ikhtilaf between the Hanafis and the Shafis. And the reasoning was we say that water's intrinsic quality is so clean. So this is what you're speaking about. So let's look at a scenario where somebody threw you into the pool, or you went to swim, but you didn't have intention of making wudu, or you went to the beach, right? And you jumped, you made hota into the beach. So yeah, we'll say that his wudu is done, but he's getting no reward for it. So yeah, so Imam Muhammad says, لا يصير مستعملا. The word will not become مستعمل إلا بإقامة القربة, except that you have the intention of reward. So even so, in simple words, if a person got wudu from water, but he had no intention to make wudu, he will have wudu, but that water will not become a musta'mal because he had no intention for what? He had no intention to make wudu. And this is his reasoning. لأن الاستعمال بانتقال نجاز آثام إليه وأنه تزال بالقربة. In simple words, what he's saying is that, remember we said when you make wudu, the wudu, it removes the spiritual filth from your body, right? There's a hadith to support this. Nabi Sallallahu said in the hadith, when you make wudu, even the sins under your nails, it comes out. Did we do that? We never do it in Kitab al-Tahara of Mishkat. You'll do Mishkat, you never in Kitab al-Tahara, you never do it. But okay, you'll do it. If you never do it Mishkat, you'll do it somewhere along the line, one of the Kitab. That Nabi Sallallahu said, Yatasaqatu minhu. That when a person makes wudu, the sins it drops off him. Wudu is such an effective means of removing spiritual contamination, etc., etc., that it drops off from you like how water drops off you. That's how the sins drop off you. And Nabi Sallallahu said, even the sins under your nails, it even falls off, right? So what Imam Muhammad is saying, see, that this only happens when you have intention. That, Ya Allah, I'm making wudu to purify myself. When you jumped into the pool, when you jumped into the river, or somebody pushed you into the pool, or somebody pushed you into the ocean, you had no intention to spiritually purify yourself. You had no reason to spiritually purify. So because you had no reason, no intention to spiritually purify yourself, you were not spiritually purified. And if you were not spiritually purified, that water did not remove najasat hukmiyah. Although yes, your wudu will be done, but there was no intention to remove the najasat hukmiyah. And because there was no intention to remove the najasat hukmiyah, that water is still clean. So you can still make another wudu with that water. So just to round it up again, so what as Imam Yusuf Muhammad is saying that if you made a you got wudu through the water, but you had no intention of qurbat of wudu, then your wudu will be done. Right? Your wudu will be done, but there will be no reward for you, and that water that can be used again for wudu because it was not the means of removing any type of najasate hukmiya. Are you with me? Okay, read the next one. So remember, going back to Imam Yusuf's call, just again, just go back to the call there. Maybe they ask me to change the thing. Yeah, okay, there's a question here. If you're teaching someone to make you, that's in fact that masla comes here. It comes also in fiqh al muyassar. If you're teaching someone to, you remember it was a masla. Huh? It's here in fiqh al muyassar. Find it here. Yeah. Yeah, okay, well, I'll check. I can't find it now, but I'll check it. So what I remember from the masla of when you're teaching someone to make wudu, it does not become my musta'mal because it is an ibadat in the sense that you are teaching somebody an act of deen, but your intention is not qurbat there. Like how we're speaking about specifically that when you make intention to make the wudu, you want to spiritually cleanse yourself. So when you're teaching somebody else to make wudu and you're doing a demonstration of wudu, yes, it is an ibadat because you're teaching somebody of deen, you teach some. But what we're looking for is not merely being an ibadat, but we're looking for this that you have the intention here that you are doing it for your spiritual cleansing, right? That is what I remember, but we'll double check it just now. So that's so teaching wudu if you, so that's also teaching wudu when you got wudu. If you like teaching wudu when you got wudu, then that will not be ala wajil qurbati. Right? We carry on. So we're saying, according to Imam Yusuf, we say there's two things. You removing the najasat. Yeah. So if you don't have wudu, if you don't have wudu, and you're teaching somebody else how to make wudu, then according to Mazin Imam Yusuf, it will become my musta'mal because you didn't have wudu, right? You say uzila bihi hadathun, right? Are you following? And according to Hazrat Imam Muhammad, if you didn't have wudu and you're teaching somebody else how to make wudu, you will have wudu because you didn't have wudu before, but the water will not become my musta'mal and you will get no reward, right? So وأبو يوسف رحمه الله تعالى يقول um, يقول إسقاط الفرض مؤثرة أيضا right فثبت الفساد بالأمرين. So interesting. Imam Yusuf says, look here, even if you had no intention, even if you had no intention for sawab, like how we discussed now, you had no intention for sawab, right? You just merely made wudu, like I said, to show, teach somebody else, like how we done here now, right? Or for tabarrud. You say, oh, it's so hot, let me just make a wudu here, right? And you made wudu. Or maybe like, sometimes you say you're feeling very hot in class. So now if you tell the teacher, I want to go to the bathroom because I'm feeling hot, you won't allow you to, I need to make wudu. So you went to make wudu, but your intention was just to cool down. Your intention wasn't spiritual cleansing, right? So you win. So there, according to Imam Yusuf, it will also become my musta'mal because, see there, ma uzila bihi hadathun. A hadath has been removed, even though you did not have the intention. So, يقول إسقاط الفرد مؤثرا, and also the farz of wudu has dropped off from you now, right? مؤثرا أيضا فثبت الفساد الأمرين. So there, with two reasons it becomes my musta'mal. Is that clear, right? Right, so that's alhamdulillah, that brings us to the end of that discussion. And I think the fatwa is on that one. They also of Imam Yusuf's Qawl and also opinion of Imam Wanifa. The next discussion is interesting discussion. وَمَتَى يَصِيرُ الْمَاءُ مُسْتَعْمَلًا الصَّحِيحُ أَنَّهُ كَمَا زَالَ عَنِ الْعُضْوِ صَارَ مُسْتَعْمَلًا. When exactly will we say the water is my musta'mal? When exactly will we say the water is my musta'mal? Whilst it's still on now, you may think what's the importance of this discussion, what's the relevance of discussion, but I'll show you now what's the relevance of discussion. As long as say you made wudu, right? So there's still some drops of water here on your arm, right? As long as it's on your arm still, it's not my musta'mal. The moment it separates from your body, now it becomes my musta'mal. You understand what I'm saying? So you may think to yourself, hey, this is splitting hairs, man. What's the importance of when does the water become my musta'mal? I'll show you now why this masala is important. Yeah. الصحيح أنه كما زال عن العضو صار مستعملا. When it separates from the limb, that's when it become my مستعمل. As long as it's on the limb, it's not my مستعمل. لأن سقوط حكم الاستعمال قبل الانفصال للضرورة. Because dropping of the حكم of it being مستعمل before separating, it is out of necessity. ولا ضرورة بعده. After, it's not necessary. Okay, before we do that, let's I said I want to show you the relevance of this. Here, let's understand this by way of example. Say, for instance, you made wudu, right? And you got some water on your arm here, right? And then you realized um, you never do your elbows, for example. Now I take water from my hand here and I rub my elbows here. Will that be correct? Will it be correct? Huh? See, I made wudu and I got extra water in my arm. So I took the moisture with my left hand like this. Okay, say this. I took I wash my arm here, right? My right hand. Just picture the scenario. I wash my arm, but I know normally I'm always negligent with my right arm's elbow. I normally leave it dry. It's also very important. Most of our negligence will make sure we wash right above the elbow. So I took my hand, I took some water off here like this, and I took it and I put it on my elbow here. Will that be correct? If my elbow was not washed, you're right, it will not be correct. Why? Because the moment it left the limb, it became my musta'mal. So now you're using my musta'mal to wash a limb, right? Now look at the scenario. I wash till here. Here's my arm, right? I wash till here. But I never wash here. I never wash here. I let it dry. So I took the same water here and I pushed it till there. Will that be correct? Yes, it will be correct because it never leave my limb. You understood that? You saw that. So that shows you only when the water leaves the limb, then it becomes musta'mal. So even like this here, for example, say for instance, you like you never do your elbow, right? So your right elbow. So you took the water that was on the arm and you pushed it on your elbow like this. You pushed it here on and you managed to wear the elbow. That's fine. It's not my musta'mal. You never use my musta'mal because it never separates from your body. But if I take from another limb, for example, I had extra water dripping on my face, I had extra water dripping on my beard, and I harvested the water from my beard. I took that water like this and I made like this. Not correct. Right? Because why? The moment it left the beard, the moment it left the face, it was my musta'mal. You understood that? So see there. So that is the relevance of identifying at which point does the water become my musta'mal. I used to see there again. وَمَتَى يَصِيرُ الْمَاءُ مُسْتَعْمَلًا. When does the water become my musta'mal? الصحيح the correct أنه كما زال and it will be when it moves away زال, it is separated from the limb. صار مستعمل, become مستعمل. Then in the next barat, the time is up. I'll just briefly explain. We'll do it again. They say, look here, لأن سقوط حكم الاستعمال قبل الانفصال للضرورة, that we won't consider it musta'mal uh, before it leaves the lamp, because imagine the moment the water touch here, it becomes musta'mal. So that means for every small portion you have to take a different water. You have to take you can't take water like now. You make a proper way. You put water like this and you rub it like that. That means you can't do that. That means you have to take fresh water here, 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 fresh water here. So out of necessity, we'll say that look here, you can use the same water. And this, so necessity forced us to say that once it's still on the body, you can still use it. And once it leaves the body, there's no necessity. So there we can give the ruling that now it has become my musta'mal. Are you with me? But anyway, that part we'll do that again. Time is up. This last part we'll build on it again on Monday, inshallah. If we are still alive around, we're gonna switch over to the tafsir now, inshallah. But just double check that myself in this one here of the